Good morning. It is 8:57 a.m. on Sunday, March 27th, 2022. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I felt like I slept in pretty well today, even though it was only till 8 something, and I went to bed a bit earlier than I might have last night. So, the progress of trying to shift the sleep schedule a little bit back to normal, maybe doing better. I am currently in a state of being annoyed by today's Wordle. If you haven't done it yet, I won't spoil anything about it except that I'm only two guesses in and I'm already having trouble thinking of a third word that could even exist to be it. um, but yeah, so that's annoying, but it's fine. We had a fun session of Root last night where we've got some developing stuff going on. Um, and yesterday I went to go see The Batman, and I really liked it. I think that I don't know that I would call it perfect or a masterpiece necessarily, but just to give you some perspective, um, I always see the Batman movies, but I've also never really been in a like Batman is my favorite or extra super pumped for Batman. It's more just kind of like, oh, I guess I'll go see the new Batman, right? Um, that dates back pretty much to the beginning with Batman. Um, and in particular, the last couple of takes on him, with the whole Snyderverse, it's just kind of not my favorite. And the whole joke about we keep getting brand new and gritty takes on Batman. Um, and I think that is largely true. Like this one doesn't, go for camp or anything like the old '60s version or anything like that. But I would certainly say that I actually don't think it's as dark as the Snyder ones. Honestly, part of that just comes to like the critiques of emo Batman are more on the money, at least in terms of describing something that's true about the movie. Although I didn't find it to be a problem. One thing that's worth kind of observing is that this movie with Robert Pattinson is explicitly taking a look at Batman earlier in his crime fighting career. It's established in the film that he's been doing it for 2 years, and has been doing stuff, but also in the course of the movie is feeling maybe a little bit discouraged or unsure because he wonders how much difference he's making because he's certainly trying, but he observes that it's like I've been doing this for 2 years and yet violent crime is up. It's not going away, and trying to figure out what he needs to, is he taking the right path? Is he doing the right things? And I will say that this is the very first Batman movie, I think, where I really kind of had the subconscious sense that this was a person, like an actual character that has thoughts and feelings, as opposed to kind of just a collection of tropes and behaviors. And that's not even really a criticism necessarily of other movies. It's just Batman has kind of like part of the Batman shtick for a long time has just been this impenetrable wall where we know that he cares about stuff, but he never lets it show. And in this one, it's not like he's constantly crying or something, but I get a sense of him as a human being more than any previous Batman movie, which really worked for me. And it also showcases and really focuses on, centers a lot of aspects of the Batman character that have been kind of largely overlooked before, namely um, him actually interacting with people as Batman besides just Jim Gordon or Catwoman, and certainly he does interact with them. But like, for example, the whole idea that Batman is the world's greatest detective. Well, like he actually does detective stuff in this one, and it's not all just, well, I have a super machine that was built for me by someone else that lets me do fancy things. Um, And again, I don't want this to be seen as criticisms, especially of the previous movies, as much as how this one feels like a change of pace of showing him actually investigating crime scenes, trying to figure out clues, investigating things that turn out to be dead ends, and figuring out where to go back. And I really liked that. I liked him, having to like I said, actually sort of exist in the world as Batman and not just be stepping out of the shadows one point and then back into the shadows, and there's no implication of like, well, how does he get around or anything like that. So because like the whole gag about someone's talking to him and then they say the key piece of information and then they look around and he's just gone, right? Like that's such a trope, and it's very cool. Like, and it happens in this movie, but I like that this movie also gives a little bit more of a sense overall of like he does have to move around in the physical world. He's not a ghost, right? It can appear to be like a ghost, but it's partly, talks about like some of his other tricks besides just being able to tiptoe away sneaky like. Um, yeah, and I really liked it. So and I liked the take on a lot of characters. I really love Stephen Wright as Gordon in this one. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, and even Paul Dano. Like even though I'm not super into the mask itself that the Riddler wears in this movie, I don't like that look really. I mean, I get that the whole idea is, he's trying to obscure his identity and he wants to look creepy, I guess, and there's a whole plot point related to it later, but I don't I don't like the look of it. But at the same time, I like to take on the character otherwise. I will say the movie is very long. It's almost 3 hours, and I don't think it's so much a problem that they should have taken story beats out as much as there's a lot of time in this movie that 10-minute scenes could have been 7-minute scenes, 30-second shots could have been 15-second shots, things like that where it just really holds on something for a long time to the point where there was a few times where it's like, okay, all right, let's okay, fine, there we go, as opposed to feeling like it's just trucking along, So I think that it could have been trimmed some to its own benefit. But that said, I wasn't really ever bored. It was more just kind of like occasionally ready for it to get on to the next thing. Um, but overall, yeah, I really liked it. I think it's good. It may well be my favorite Batman movie. Anyway, we'll leave it there, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.